I'm a fan of fantasy, so I listen to Easy and Alan on their Just a Fantasy Fan podcast. During the show, you can live chat with Easy and Alan at LennyMelnickFantasySports.com. Rumour has it, Lenny only swings one way, with Launch Angle. Now here's Easy and Chris Allen.
And welcome to a Wednesday night at LennyMelnickFantasySports.com, the Legend Sports Network, where you're listening to me and my co-host, Chris Allen. How you doing tonight, Chris?
I'm kind of bored. It's been kind of a slow week regarding NFL news, so
right.
I'm ready to go to bed, if we're being quite honest.
What? You've been chopping chips in my ear. I don't know what the hell you got going on there. I mean,
I'm rushing, trying to eat dinner.
When you're bored, I get it. When you're bored, you just kind of, snack and stuff. So now, because you know me, I don't know what the hell you're doing these days. Is this your first conversation of football during all this stuff, or have you had another show or done something else since all these trades and signings of?
No, this is the first one.
Oh, so this is Chris's first take. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, this is my first take. Absolutely.
Good. Might not be your best, but it will be your first. That's all.
It's always my best. What are you talking about? Always my best.
But it doesn't have to be.
Well, we got to give the people what they need, though. They need our best.
They do need our best. The chat room, no show before us. So,
No, they've just been waiting on us all night, huh?
Well, Douglas is out there. Doug Boyles, who joins me pretty regularly on the round table. He's out there. I typed if he has sound. You know me, still
always messing with stuff.
I'm close, though. I'm close. I almost got my house. I look good.
Yeah, it looks good.
I got my thing. I got my little scroller going.
I know. I dig that.
Order. I almost got this. Actually, probably worked out. It seemed like you might have been a little busy tonight, but I do have my other thing set up to where I need to test one night. So just because you don't use Hangouts, so you have to. We'll figure it out. Never mind. None of that matters.
Yeah, we're here now
because we have things to talk about tonight.
Yeah, a couple of things.
Maybe.
First
of all, because of our location, we have to thank or congratulate our Wright State Raiders women.
Yes.
For winning the league championship for the season. And now they are the tournament champions and they are going to the big dance.
Yes.
So the Lady Raiders will be in the big dance. So I will be watching that. That'll be great. That'll be fine. Mm-hmm. I've watched them I think they've only been 2 other times they've gotten beat, but because they're usually a lower seed, but their team's pretty good this year.
Oh, sure.
But unfortunately, we have to. What was cool is the men's also was the season champions and the #1 seed in their tournament, but unfortunately, they lost last night in the finals of the tournament. They were the #1 seed. They got beat by Northern Kentucky, and I hate Kentucky. You know that. I hate it.
Yes, I know.
There's a lot. Kentucky basketball. I don't even care if it's not. I don't even care if it's a green team from Kentucky. I'm just not real happy that we lost to the Northern Kentuckians, because there's nothing worse than Northern Kentuckians of all the Kentuckians. I'm just saying. So, still, congratulations to a great season.
Mm-hmm.
They had a very good season. They're a very good team. I don't think there's any shot they're going to the tournament, though. I've heard a few people say maybe, but
I think it's possible, but yeah, probably.
I don't know. So just again, no one else cares about them, but we do. I don't know. I don't know if you're a Wright State person at all, or
I went to grad school there.
then you should. You're Raider through and through. Come on. Did you ever their basketball? I've always enjoyed going to their basketball games. So, and a lot of people know the history. I mean, you do know they are national champions from back in the day.
Yep.
You know, when they were in, I think it was something different. I'm not sure. They were in like Division III, I think, basketball.
Yeah.
And they beat Kentucky Wesleyan. That was a big rivalry. Kentucky, and I hate those Kentuckians. But Kentucky Wesleyan with Ralph Underhill. Ralph Underhill
Wow.
was the coach back then, and that's when they played in the gym at this actual school before the Nutter Center. I had season tickets. I had season tickets to that gym that only seat like 3,000, but it sold out. I mean, it was packed because it was really like a high school gym.
Yeah.
But if I'm not mistaken, 3 national championships in that run. And Kentucky Wesleyan, who was in our division, I think had 2. So I think in like an 8-year period in that division, we had like 5 of the national champions. Now, I could be telling actually nothing factual. So I really,
I believe you.
I did too. No, I actually think I'm right. I'm pretty sure it's 3 and 2. It could be backwards where Wright State has 2 and they have 3, but I'm pretty sure it's 5 in a few years. So we do have some banners hanging from the from the thing there. So when you went to school there, I know you're younger than me. I mean, was the Nutter Center already there?
Oh yeah, that was I went to grad school 2006 to 2008.
Okay, all right. See, you're much younger than me. So all right. So I mean, it's a nice place to watch basketball. And then me and my daughter, she played basketball. We went for quite a few years, and we'd go to as many of the girls' basketball games as we could, because there was a girl from Tip City that played. There was girls from Brookville. I mean, they some of the a couple G Walker. I mean, they had girls from all over. The girl that just was awesome a couple years ago was from Richmond, Indiana. So. So there you go. So we started out on, again, because I knew there was a slow week of
not a lot going on.
Whatever that ball game, whatever that sport is that's not soccer.
Yeah, I can't even remember what's called.
All right. Okay. And I've been mock drafting for baseball. So we have to, at least we'll say the word baseball tonight.
Sure.
I've already done two $20 league drafts. Those are over, but tomorrow's my big one. It's the $100 league. It's I'm going to not use the word industry league, but there's some industry people in it. It's a pretty competitive league, and I probably am way over my head. My goal is to beat Cha-Cha and JR Slice, who sometimes are in our chat room. Those are the 2 that are in this league. And we'll see how it goes. So, and again, I hope someone's hearing me. I typed sound. No one answered me one bit. I don't know if you're in the chat room paying attention, because I kind of have my monitors around now so I can see everything. So, all right. So, we just got to go right to it. Signing day was officially today, I guess, technically, I think this is the first day of the 2019 season. Isn't that technically what it is?
Free agency started today.
Right, because the year starts today for them. This is like their physical year starts today, right?
Yes. So, yeah. All trades that were negotiated prior to and all that.
Right.
Yeah, all of them were finalized today.
Now, that used to not be. We have these 3 days now. That's what they call it. They call it the what is it? They call it something. These 3 days.
The legal tampering period.
Which means you can talk, you can tweet about it, you can do everything.
Exactly.
Sign the paper. It cracks my ass up. So, well, do we want? I guess I can't even say. Do we want to go in order? Do you want to start with what you like the most? Do we want to start with fantasy relevance? Do we want to just start with our Bengals, who have done nothing but just re-sign some people? Which for a while, re-signing people for the Bengals was at least a step above what the Patriots had done. They had done nothing. The Patriots literally had done nothing. And technically they've done nothing except I think now what I'm hearing is they have
the Patriots re-signed Philip Dorsett.
Well, that's not. I guess what I was thinking is the Michael Bennett.
Oh, that was the rumor, but that hasn't been. I don't really think that's going to happen. If possible,
I heard tonight on Twitter that it was gonna go down for a 7th round pick. I don't know. I guess what I read on Twitter made
Michael Bennett. Yes, that is happening. I thought you were talking about his brother because they were trying to see if they could get Martellus Bennett out of retirement to play tight end, and so they'd have 2 sets of brothers playing together.
Right. I'm just saying
the Michael Bennett thing, that is legit.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. They've at least now done something where the Bengals have, like I said, just re-signed people. Now, I'm one of those, and I've said all along, I still think the Bengals need to sign better medical staff. They just need to stay healthy. Draft, get a few people. If everyone plays up, you know me, you're right. I would love to see some new good blood, but I also don't like the old Bengals used to just do shit for no reason.
Pretty much.
If doing nothing is better than doing something stupid. So I'm fine with that. Now, that being said, let's just stick with the Bengals since that's our, at least my team. I think it's kind of your team. They did when they tell people or allow them to declare for free agency, I realize that technically is being cut, but at the same time, that also doesn't mean they won't be re-signed. Is that correct?
They can be, but typically, if I'm remembering historically from the Bengals, that has not been the case.
Not normally, but it's like Tyler Eifert is now technically a free agent, but I've heard rumors that they want to re-sign him. It's just
right.
So Tyler Kroft, I know, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's already signed with somebody else.
Yes, Tyler Kroft wound up going to, oh my goodness, I cannot remember which team he wound up going to.
I might be able to click it here. And
I was just talking about that the other day. Yeah, the Bills. Thank you.
Oh, there you go. Good luck. Yeah, the Bills are trying, and everything they've tried, I just kind of laugh at so far. But I get some people would say that's better.
He's a good player.
Nothing.
Yeah.
But the Bengals, Tyler Kroft's gone. Tyler Eifert is technically free agent. CJ Uzomah, I can never say his name. Free agent. So
they signed him.
Technically, the Bengals now have no tight ends.
No, Uzomah, he got an extension.
Did they? I show him when that he was declared as a free agent. So they did. Did they already re-sign him then?
Yeah, that was what was in the works. He was supposed to get, I thought, if not a 2-year, maybe a 3-year extension.
All right, I'm just going by. This was updated like an hour ago, and it still just says he's a free agent. But all right. So that's our Bengals. So now I'll let you guide from here. Where do you want to go in this luscious? First of all, we talked about last night. Football. I don't care what anybody says. Football's off season is the most exciting.
Oh, absolutely.
Figured it out. There is something going on almost every month. So for you baseball guys out there that you already hate me and Chris, at Lenny Melnick FantasySports.com. But at the same time, we'll throw a baseball nugget.
Sure.
Sure. Did I see you tweet something that you're trying a baseball league?
Oh, no, Fantrax, they were talking about doing a staff league or something like that. And I at least tweeted out that the product was available for people that were interested in baseball.
Now, wait, the way I read it, made like Chris might be talking like he's willing to, try it again. And I was going to offer you my,
I'm not paying money for baseball this season. I mean, if maybe
all right.
I might be able to get talked into a league or something like that. But
I know what you did with me last year was a free league, and you stayed competitive. Now, you did
had some hiccups on the roster here and there.
You'd go
figure some stuff out.
Right. So, all right, we'll give you that.
Yeah.
So where would you like to start? What do you think is I don't know. Do we want to just start with most fantasy?
That's where I want to start.
Or do we even know most fantasy relevant?
That's where I want to
start with the Cleveland Browns.
That's what I want to start with that man right there featured on that t-shirt that you can get. I actually got a copy, or I bought myself this t-shirt last night after seeing it, sponsored by RotoWear. Everybody go out and get you one of these t-shirts.
Not a chance in hell. I'm buying the shirt.
I am wearing that shirt.
Cleveland Brown shirt.
OBJ.
Chris.
OBJ, man. I can't wait. I can't wait to see it happen. I can't wait to see what they do with them.
their team is, I mean, obviously, I think right now you have to give them 2 thumbs up on the offseason. A team that was already pretty good from last year's offseason.
And now they've gone out and signed one of the best wide receivers in the game.
Well, no, not just signed. It was a trade, and they got him at a deal, technically, in my opinion, because he got the signing bonus from the Giants. They didn't have to absorb a bunch of that bonus. They're getting for about $15 million a year. And Jarvis, I think, if anything, I don't think this changes Odell Beckham's draft position. He was probably going to go late first, early second. I don't think that changes much, depending on if you like him or not. But I do think it, obviously, I wasn't a Jarvis Landry. I don't know. Again, I've done no mocks. I'm messing with baseball, but I don't know where Jarvis Landry was going, but I can only imagine, at least in my mind, this bumps him up at least around. I mean,
back into the first, early second is where I've
Landry?
seen him going. No, not Landry. I'm talking about OBJ.
No,
Landry.
For Landry.
4th, 5th, somewhere in there. Pretty much where he was going last season.
Well, and see, that's my point. I think I'd rather have him in the 4th or the 5th than Odell Beckham in the 1st. I would take Odell in this, I had him last year. I would take Odell Beckham in the 2nd if he dropped that far, or if I was on the turn maybe. But I think Jarvis Landry is going to now catch a lot of balls in the middle of the field. I mean, I think this just, in a PPR, it makes Jarvis Landry a very valuable player.
Why him? They've got David Njoku.
I know that. I mean, the whole thing. That's my point. I'm just saying, it's an offense with a lot of stuff. How was that?
Talent.
I could not even.
A lot of weapons.
A lot of weapons.
They have people there.
Right. Weapons. We'll go with weapons. It's the Browns. It's hard to say weapons, but I'm just saying. I don't know. I'm excited. I think. I mean, it's kind of cool. But as a Bengals fan,
I told my wife last night. I'm going to, when they play the Bengals in Cincinnati.
You're going to go to a game.
We're going. I want to go watch. I want to watch Odell Beckham play. I do.
All right. Well, he played. I think he played here with the Bengals. I think 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
I don't remember. I forget when they came the last time.
I know they've been here since he's been.
Oh, they've been here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I mean,
now he's going to be. We'll get to see him.
It does scare. I mean, this is the team now. I know they lost Peppers now, so that was defense takes a little bit of a hit, but back to the same thing we've talked before. If your offense can score 28 to 34 on average, you're going to be okay with a below average defense.
Yeah.
So, I agree. That is the big deal. What do you think it does to the Giants now? I don't know. Obviously I'd assume at this point they're in a rebuild mode. My opinion now, if anything, it hurts Barkley. And obviously I don't think no one was picking Eli, but it definitely, me and my son were talking last night. It's back to, I think this makes a few of the other trades right now, this to me makes definitely Ezekiel Elliott the most reliable number 1 or first round pick. Same offense, not much changes on the offense. Same quarterback, nothing's really changed. He's going to catch the ball a bunch. He's going to get everything else. Barkley now has nobody to protect him. I don't care what anybody says. They were double teaming, Beckham a lot, and that one less guy makes a difference in the box. So I'm worried about him. Gurley, I know he's still up there for me, but there's still questions just based on the way the season ended, and now that they have a decent backup / maybe just someone else to take some carries away, not even a backup. So that's a big deal. If I don't know, who else right now would you say in the first round is? And now with Murray, I mean, that happened tonight. We now have, the Saints. Ingram is now a Raven, which I think helps I actually think that helps Ingram's value in fantasy. Not that the Ravens are great, but he's a dump off running back and he's a power back. And those kind of backs seem to do well when there's a running quarterback mixed in back there. I'm excited about Mark Ingram now. More so there than if he'd have stayed with the Saints, but now they have Latavius Murray down in New Orleans. So to me, that makes that backfield questionable.
Why?
Huh?
Why?
Well, because, okay. I mean, I guess last year they did it with 2 backs also.
Yeah, they've been doing that for 2 years now.
Okay. My problem is I'm not taking a first-round pick that's sharing a backfield. That's my question, though. A first-round people, give me the other guy other than Zeke right now that has a clear path to almost all of the workload.
Melvin Gordon. David Johnson.
Well, David Johnson. They now have Carlos Hyde.
Well, I'd still take then Melvin Gordon.
You know what? I will accept that. Other than his health, he's a small guy. But I do. I mean, but I'm not taking him ahead of Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott to me right now, and right now I would want the number 1 pick, or let me pick 10th. I
think there's still plenty of value like towards the middle because you could still get DeAndre Hopkins. I would take him. I would still take Kamara in the first round. I would have no issues with that.
I would maybe take Kamara, again in that 8th, 9th, 10th area. I just don't think in the middle. And we've had that discussion before. You're right. I think Hopkins definitely to me is one of the top pick, but he's not above Zeke because again, running back has a little more. That's my point right now. Running back is I think everyone's doing this 2 running back thing anyway. So I think it's going to get harder and harder to find that one person. And unless Dallas does something weird right now, Zeke Elliott is, the only thing they've got. What do you think about the, Hyde going to Kansas City? I think it helps Hyde right now. Hyde to me might be the top handcuff / somebody, I'm kind of, Hyde would definitely be somebody I'd consider now late in my drafts. I don't know where he's going now. I'd still consider him to be, the top handcuff. I think this secures Damien Williams' spot to me, is being the lead back. And then I don't know what they're going to do at Spencer Ware, assuming his contract is fairly expensive. And I'm not entirely sure where their cap space is at right now. I think Hyde is the number 1 by any chance?
Huh?
Do you think there's any chance that Hyde would be number 1 over Williams?
I think as the year goes on, it's not going to be by week 1. It won't be by week 4 or 5. If there is a sizable shift in volume, it would probably occur either by mid-season, late season, something like that. I think it would take an injury in order for something like that to happen.
Right.
Like, while Carlos Hyde is serviceable, I don't think he's as dynamic as Damien Williams showed to be during the final stretch of last season. I think it's Damien Williams' job to lose. So a lot would have to go wrong in order for him to lose that spot.
Right. I agree. I mean, it's just, again, it's kind of crazy. What does that, now I think about it? Well, no, in Minnesota now then. That means Minnesota.
Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, but I guess right now he would be the main cog there then. So he doesn't, is there anybody behind him?
Rock Thomas was behind him, right. But he got arrested.
Oh, he did. Oh, well, speaking of that, what about Jackson going over 100 miles an hour and then filming it and posting it? And
oh man,
my Lord! I mean, breaking the law is one thing.
Yeah,
filming it and then posting it, I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's called social because everyone can see it. Dummies.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a career ender. You hit somebody doing that, you're no longer an NFL player. I mean,
pretty much. Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. It's crazy. I mean, I don't know. Wonder if there's something in insurance. I would think there's somebody somewhere going, you know what? You're not allowed to even do that. You're getting fined.
Yeah. I don't know.
I know we do a lot of crazy stuff and some of the fines aren't even that big, but I'm sorry. That's just stupid. Because you can laugh. My problem with that is that's one of those things that stupid teenagers, boys thinks okay. They see violent. They see a guy assaulting somebody, they're smarter than that. They kind of get that and all that, but going 105 is something they go, I think something is more willing to, be an influencing thing. Just to me, it's just stupid. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, no question about
no one
that.
got hurt, but if my kid was flying around going 105 mile an hour, at 18 years old, I'd say, you know what, time out. That's my car. I don't know.
Yeah.
I realize he owns it all, but I'm just saying that to me, if you want people to look up to you, you can't do those kind of stupid things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, man, it was kind of, did you see where that car in Trotwood going 100 miles an hour hit that bus and
I heard about that.
I saw video. I mean, it put that bus. I mean, we're not talking luckily not a school bus. This was an RTA bus, a huge bus, and that car hit it going, over 100 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
2 teenage kids dead. I mean, that's my point. I mean, I don't think it's, and again, it's just stupid, to me, film yourself eating some crazy food. You know what?
That's probably the better thing to do.
Yeah. So there we go. Let's go to the Jets then. We'll talk about we'll go to the Jets next, since that happened last night. Because this one has me agitated for a different reason. Le'Veon Bell on the Jets. Is he still a first round pick?
No, I don't think he was supposed to be a first round pick.
I can say that because he's been a first round pick for a few years now. So
yeah, but not anymore.
Is there a team that he could have signed with that he'd have been a number one pick?
There were rumblings about him going to the Colts. I mean, that would have probably never happened because Chris Ballard is too savvy of a GM to make such a decision, paying a
on the Colts, position. A number one pick, but on the Jets, he's not.
I think in that situation, given that the only other person besides him that could really, because Marlon Mack, while he has been productive, I think really that, Le'Veon Bell would clearly outshine him. So it's between him and Nyheim Hines.
Because on the Jets, he is their main guy. He might be the only guy. They could work him to death actually now. But
that puts him in the same, I guess, pretty much on the same path as Saquon Barkley right now with the Giants. But we're talking about teams that are, one, slow-paced, and then two, don't have a ton of upside regarding points per game. Like what the team total points per game for the Jets and the Giants are essentially the same, 14 to 17 points per game. That's about what you can expect for either of them.
Yeah, but the way you're saying that, I would tell me that, right, I do think Barkley takes a hit this week anyway, but Barkley's still going to go in the first round in every draft.
I don't know why. I'm not taking him in the first round.
Me neither. But
this is the guy. We're talking about. Either of the two.
Barkley's going to go in the first round. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, he's probably he's going to.
Mm-hmm. And if he's going to go in the first round in every draft, I don't see why Bell doesn't go first round. Also, I agree. I don't think I'd take either one in the first. But hey, I'd be the first to tell you on the turn, if I could start my, maybe it's a gamble, but if I started the turn with Barkley and Bell, I might almost be okay. And then go wide receiver, and just hope. But
it's not impossible to think.
I won't have either one. I'm just not a fan, but
no, I can't see myself doing something like that.
I think he's the workhorse. So I was hoping he'd go to the Raiders, where I think he'd have had a little more value there too, because he'd have been the main.
Raiders would have been good.
And I think the offense has a whole, again, I think they have the ability to go up tempo. So
I've been Houston, excited. I think would have been just as fine.
I would have taken Houston. So, and I would agree. I think the Raiders, I definitely think I'd have still put him, and probably Texas too. Definitely a first rounder. I think he's going to go in the second. I don't think he's going to drop to the third, which a few people said yesterday. I wouldn't let him drop there. If I'm picking number one and I got Zeke Elliott and I had to wait all the way to the end of the second round and Bell was sitting there, I'd start my draft with that also.
Okay.
I would start with Zeke and Bell. But what the argument or the problem I'm having is, and I'm going to use the word real experts, real people on ESPN, real people on CBS, sports, talking about that he lost, that this sit out cost him money. And my thing to that is bullshit. The math they're doing is incorrect. They keep saying that he's taken a less average per year than what he was offered last year. Last year he was offered, I think, 14.7, right? Maybe I'm off a little bit, but I think 14.7 would have been what he'd have got if he was tagged last year. Where with this new contract, he's averaging less than that. So they're all saying, so he lost 14.4 million. But that's not right. That he loses, unfortunately, only in a way we can never do. He loses, though, if he got hurt last year. That was the point. That's the point that no one is saying today. He's winning because he's getting that 14 million plus he's actually getting 35 million guaranteed. Done deal. So he's got more than double what the 14 is that he's going to get. But if he signs last year and plays for that 14 and tears an ACL or worse, like an Achilles or something where he's done, then he loses. My point is this, if anything, at worst, he's breaking even, but I think this is a better deal for him in the long run. That's just my opinion. I think the math they're doing where, they're saying, see, he's playing for averages and he lost a whole year where he could have made, over 14 million, but that's not why he sat out. He sat out because he wanted the 35 million and he got it.
I think the 14 million portion comes in the, so Josh Hermsmeyer, writer for 538, he had looked at the contract standards in terms of guaranteed money. And he tried to compare what Le'Veon should or would have gotten had he continued playing throughout his entire career, and then what he needs to have in terms of guaranteed money to recoup that lost season. So because he got the 35 million guaranteed, and I think that's a huge win for him. It really is. I don't care how you slice it, because if you look at his guaranteed money versus Todd Gurley's guaranteed money. If you any of the elite running backs, Ezekiel Elliott's, any of the elite running backs, his is still up at the top of the elite running backs currently in the NFL. So that's a huge win. But now the problem is because he sat out all of 2018, he lost. That's where the 14 million comes into play. Sure. Because the amount that he would have needed to have in order to make up for last season plus continue on playing, that's the 14 million gap. That's
assuming he plays the whole season and doesn't get hurt.
Right. So, but that's also assuming he was able to play at that price and then continue on and then get the same deal, yada yada yada. So that's where they're making that comparison, in that if he had played last season and then gone on and gotten this contract or whatever, then he would have more money and maximized his value that way. But to me personally, I would say that he got what he wanted because he would not have had the same guaranteed money. I do not think he would be able to get the same guaranteed money. The Steelers were not going to offer him that guaranteed money, and that's where I differ from some of the folks that have been putting that out.
If he plays last year and does not
what
even
Earl Thomas did, the same thing happened to him that what happened to Earl Thomas. He's out this coming season and he has no guaranteed money.
Exactly. That's my point. I think he wins.
And I agree with that premise.
That's my point. I just don't. To me, they're looking at it wrong when they're doing what you're saying. I understand, because I watched multiple experts trying to explain all that, and at no point did they ever say, well, but because they do exactly what you just said. They say, well, if he'd have played. Well, my problem is I would say, but if he'd have got hurt, there's two ifs in there. Each side has an if. The key is, though, he stayed healthy and he got the guaranteed. First spring training, he could tear an Achilles now, and he's at least, his family's set. He's good. He's got that 35 mil. So, and it's actually,
and I've been hearing that all day. I've been hearing that myself, and that people are, you can express happiness for Le'Veon Bell for getting what he wanted.
I agree.
Where you can also be disappointed with the way that he had to go about doing it.
Unfortunately, we can't be disappointed. It's not our money. It's his. If he's happy with the way it went, which everything I'm hearing he is, I think
I'm not disappointed in him, disappointed in the way that players have to go about securing that guaranteed money. Not disappointed in him.
Right.
It's more about the process that players have to go through.
Structuring needs to change. And unfortunately, I don't know how you do that, but
he plays at a replaceable position, so it's harder for running backs, especially at his age and workload, to have any sort of leverage, because too many people now, I think we've gotten to the point of this whole running backs don't matter conversation that teams are now starting to see the replaceability of the position. Look at CJ Anderson, how he was so quickly able to quote unquote replace Todd Gurley's production throughout the playoffs for the most part. So now teams are seeing that. And like, even if you want to go farther back, D'Angelo Williams was actually able to replace Le'Veon Bell when Le'Veon Bell was out when he was injured 3 seasons ago. Right. So all these cases start to pile up, and it's like, do we really need to pay running backs that elite money? And it's going to be harder for teams to try and justify that. It might be easier for them to pay them up front and say, here, we might not give you this huge mega deal, but we'll give you these Le'Veon type deals where we're giving you 30, 40 million guaranteed. And that might be what they want, because I think all of them, I would say that most running backs, minus Frank Gore, understand that you're only serviceable for 6, 7, 8 years.
Right. Now, Andrea is saying in the chat room that it was bad for fans. I don't argue that either. And unfortunately, and I'll put Andrea in this too, it's worse. The people who get the worst brunt of it were fantasy fans, because we put draft equity down. So, it made it even worse. And some people would say because of that, him sitting out, it did cost the Pittsburgh Steelers a playoff game at least. I think everyone's assuming if he's there and playing last year, they probably at least have one more win, which is all they would have needed to get to the playoffs. I get that too. But the problem is it's a physical game, a physical position, a replaceable position. That $35 million that he got was big. And for him, his argument would be then change the system so that I don't have to play this year not knowing, and Pittsburgh wasn't willing to do that. So he, and they weren't willing to, let him out of anything. They'd
already franchise tagged him twice. It's like, why can't you just pay the player so that there's some sort of guarantee that they'll continue to be able to guarantee for them to continue doing their job without, if they get injured, which has already happened to Le'Veon, why not try and pay him what he's worth and make sure that there is some sort of security in his job? I guess to me, I don't understand that. So that's where I think it's very poor on the organization's part for not extending that.
Saying fantasy owners shouldn't have drafted him; they should have known better. I would not have taken him last year with that, even early in the drafts. I mean, to me, there was no point last year where he was a viable early first round pick, and I was in more than one draft where he went number 1 or number 2. No, I don't think that's true, because it had happened 2 seasons prior. And each season, according to that, he would get up to the deadline and then sign the tender, and things would go on as usual. So why would we think that this season was going to be any different? We have no information indicating otherwise. I do not gamble on my first round. I know I've had first round picks, even ones that are guarantees aren't guarantees.
So that means you haven't drafted Le'Veon Bell in the first round the past 3 years when he's been taken.
I have never had Le'Veon Bell on my team. Not one. I owned him because I don't think, and we've had this discussion, and I do believe that. No, I don't think any first round draft pick is going to win you the league in most cases. Very rarely, if ever. But picking the wrong one can make you lose one. So I just believe, and people make fun. I mean, in baseball right now, we're going through all this. There's some question marks after the first couple people in the first round of baseball. And, I am willing to draft somebody and reach, even if I have to, depending on where my draft spot is. I'm willing to reach for somebody that I feel is more, a little more safe or a little more reliable. And it is going to give me first or second round numbers. At worst case, third, round numbers versus gambling somebody who, isn't going to give me any numbers. They
could give you first round numbers.
They could, but that's
Le'Veon Bell would get. He gave you first round numbers.
If you got him the first, that's okay. It's like Barkley. Barkley was going to be and was not on any of my teams last year, but a lot of people still took him in the first round because of being a rookie in his situation.
But that's different. Barkley was a rookie. Le'Veon Bell had a track record of being a lead point.
But rookies have track records. That's no different. I'm not drafting a rookie in the first round. It's never going to happen that I can think of. I mean, I'm not going to do it in football because they can have a great season. They can, and that's fine with me. I'm just more. It's like you said. I'd rather have a Hopkins. I'd rather have an Odell Beckham right now than any rookie you could give me. And this year, I don't know. I guess I'd have to stop and think. That's my point. Even this year, I paid no attention to rookies.
Mm-hmm.
So,
not a ton. I mean, there are no quote unquote generational talents really entering the league this season. Not at the running back position. There are a couple of good ones. In terms of wide receivers, pretty much same deal. There are there are a bunch of good ones, a lot of athletic freaks, DK Metcalf, N'Keal Harry, yada yada yada.
Right.
But nothing that would be like we need to draft this person in the first round, like an Ezekiel Elliott, Saquon Barkley. None of those guys.
Right. And Andrea, we'll throw a quick baseball nugget in there. In my mock draft tonight, I got Bauer in the 4th. I was all excited for you, not for me. I took Bauer because Andrea has sold me on him now. And I think she's taking him in a few drafts in like the second rounds and stuff like that, maybe even earlier to make sure she gets him. And he fell to me in a mock draft. And this one was mainly human people. And I think there was a couple spots that got filled by a computer, but I got Bauer in the 4th. I was kind of excited. He was my first pitcher.
All right.
But I'm just saying, I'm not a gambler in the first round. And yes, people will say it all the time. Every round's a gamble. Yeah, whatever. My point is, I'm not pushing all in on my first pick. I'm
less about gambling and just more about opportunity cost. What players are you giving up or foregoing in order to draft the player that you are? And the impact of opportunity cost is much higher. Right.
That's my point about earlier, Zeke Elliott. That's why right now I think I'm willing to take number 1. And then after that, I'd rather have late in the draft where I'm not, I'd rather turn around and get 2 players at the end of, the first and at the beginning of the second that, maybe both give me first round value, I don't know. That's my thing right now. What other trades? Antonio Brown, obviously we'll go back to the Pittsburgh thing. Antonio Brown was a big deal. I don't know, helps Carr a little bit, but Carr won't be on my team.
No, Carr falls too far outside of the range of QB1s and even serviceable like QB2s, like the Dak Prescotts of the world.
2 quarterbacks. Could he be one of those real late round guys that you go, hey, you know what? He has Jordy Nelson and has
Jordy Nelson. He has Tyrell Williams. He was signed by the Raiders earlier today. I thought that went through. So
did they lose their tight end?
Jared Cook is still a free agent. So to me, it sounds like with that, with those 2 moves, it does sound like that they might want to move on from Jared Cook. The Saints are actually supposed to have a meeting with Jared Cook tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, the Saints didn't have. What did they have? They had a tight end. They got
Josh Hill.
Yeah, Josh Hill last year.
Mm-hmm.
So that was it. The other big exciting is, you got to be excited for the Bills to get Frank Gore.
I think
you have one running back that won't get hurt next year.
Well, so the combined age between their 2 running backs is going to be what, 65? Because LaShawn McCoy is 30.
Yes. He's no young.
I think LaShawn McCoy is going to be 31, and Frank Gore is my age, so he's like 35. So that might be a little older than that, but 65, 66 combined age between the 2 running backs on that squad. That's outstanding.
That's outstanding. I would agree. I think that's a good thing.
But I think, and I said this last season. I think I said this on this show last season.
Yeah, you did. Whatever it is, I'm going to agree with you.
My tinfoil hat conspiracy theory is that Frank Gore is staying in the league long enough in order to pass the next person on the all-time rushing list. I forget who that person is, but he's less than 600 yards from moving to, I think he would move to number 3 all-time on the rushing list, if I'm not mistaken. And I think once he does that, I think he'll probably just go away. And so whichever team is willing to let him tote the rock enough times for him to get there, because I think he either moved into 4th or 5th all-time last season. He only has like less than 1,000 yards to move into either 3rd or 4th this year. And once he gets to that point, he'll probably just stop.
Right. Now, DK Lush out in the chat room is saying the Bills are a joke. He's from Buffalo. I don't know. Hey, if anything, Frank Gore as a backup can't hurt. The guy, if you're going to have a backup, it might as well be a guy that isn't going to get hurt also. Because I think it's the last 2 years, both of their because Chris Ivory also got hurt last year. I mean, they've multiple backs get hurt. So at least you go, you know what? I don't care how old Frank Gore is. He's at least
just give him the rock. There it is. All right, so he's number 4 all time with 14,748 yards. Barry Sanders, the Barry Sanders, is at 15,269 yards. So he needs just over 500 and some change in order to get past Barry Sanders. So I think that's what he's aiming for.
Well, DK Lush is saying, come on, Easy. He's washed up. I'm not questioning that he's, not washed up or an old man.
I don't think he's washed up. He showed to be the better or more serviceable running back than Kenyon Drake and Kalen Ballage last season.
Right.
I think he's still got somehow or another, that man still has juice left in the tank. Somebody needs to test him for PEDS or something like that.
I just, again, it was one of those, and again, I'm messing with this new software. I actually thought I had my camera problem fixed, which my camera hasn't really gone out, but I think I had too many windows open now. So I closed my window on some of my,
see, you keep dicking with stuff and that's what happens.
We're getting close. I'm fine tuning this and we'll be all right. The Bills also got Beasley. That's got to really be a big bonus there. So there you go. I mean, to me, the Beasley signing, I don't know. Who knows? To
me, all of these signings, it's more like
I don't think they gave Gore any guaranteed money, if I recall, in the way the contract was. I don't think Gore's. I mean,
I forget the particulars.
I thought they could cut him even, and he wouldn't necessarily make much money. So
I don't remember the particulars on his deal, to be quite honest with you.
All right, maybe DK, if he lives there, would know more. I didn't think there was much guaranteed money, so obviously they could cut him if it was a problem. But hey, again, I don't think the Bills are going to threaten the Patriots again next year.
Yeah.
So, we've got that to rely on. We're down to we really haven't talked about as many as what's there. We're down to about 10 minutes. What other big ones do you want to go after?
We hit most of them. I think the one from tonight, the Tevin Coleman signing to 49ers.
Yeah,
which I thought was kind of odd. But I guess you have Jerick McKinnon coming off the ACL tear and Matt Breida, who was hurt literally every single game last season. So I guess I can understand bringing him in. But out of all the free agent running backs, I was kind of surprised that was the one that they wound up bringing back. If anything, if you want to look for just a serviceable running back in case everybody else got hurt, why didn't they just bring Frank Gore back to San Francisco and have him play behind those guys for less money?
Let him finish his career out.
Yeah, let him finish his career out as a 49er and just have him be done with it. I thought that would have been the cheaper and better thing to do.
Now, though, right? It's not like he'd be coming into the same system.
That's true. With Shanahan, it'd be different, absolutely. And of course, Shanahan and Tevin Coleman, they already have the tie with the Falcons. I get it, but it just seemed like with what they already have two serviceable backs that already fit into that system. So it just seemed odd that they would try and bring in another more expensive back to do the exact same thing.
Like we said earlier, I think these teams are realizing, 2, maybe 3 backs are better than one super high paid one or whatever. Or even if you have good ones, you know what? You just give them the 20 carries, give one 20 and another one 10 and one of them 5, and you just keep them healthy and keep them guessing. And if someone gets hurt, again, they found that out this year, 1 or 2 players get hurt and you're done. Your season's over. I realized their quarterback was part of that problem. Now we do have Nick Foles. We have Case Keenum. Those were 2 quarterbacks that switched, and Blake Bortles got cut. So, Blake Bortles is now out there, and I think the rumor is now that also the Saints are going to probably re-sign Teddy, which is kind of good. I think because they
had a meeting with the Dolphins tonight. I don't know how that went or if they're looking to sign him at this point, but at least had a meeting with the Dolphins. I don't know if that's going to turn into anything or not.
Right. What about is Ravens backup? Is that still as of right now
RG3?
because I always thought, and maybe the Ravens don't want to spend money on a backup. I just always thought Teddy would have been a good backup for Jackson, because they are similar. They both can run. Teddy can throw. He just never, when he was the 1 year he was healthy, they didn't throw the ball a lot because that was their offense. But Teddy actually has an arm also. I mean, he just hasn't really had, I don't think people realize he really hasn't had, I don't think one full season, right? He had one full season and then got hurt, but that full season was his rookie season. And,
can't really take much from it.
No. So,
but now he gets to sit behind Drew Brees, and what better? I mean,
because I would think you'd want someone sitting behind Drew Brees that actually could take over for Drew Brees. I'm not saying, and I'm talking long time, like a rookie or somebody you would go, hey, you know what? In a couple of years, this is Breeze's, but maybe they know something, and Brees is going to be there for 4 or 5 years. But
yeah, he could. I think his contract. I think he's good for another 2 to 3 years. Drew Brees is, and I think that's about the amount of time that Teddy really needs to acclimate to a better system. Because even when he was in Minnesota, it didn't really seem like that was the proper system for him, despite having Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen to throw to. It seems like Sean Payton and what they're trying to do down there is a bit more, I guess, it's better for his style. And I think with bringing in rookies and all that in order to have them sit behind other quarterbacks, it's not necessarily a thing that teams have to do nowadays. They can just have them run them in and just have them start. But if you look at other quarterbacks in the past, like Aaron Rodgers sitting behind Brett Favre, it can work. And I think Teddy sitting behind Drew Brees, I think it'd be good for him. Have him get, have him rehab a little bit more. I know that they say he's past the injury, and clearly it seems like he's back up on his feet and whatnot. But just getting back into game speed and then learning more about the position itself, so much better for him. I think that's just fine.
And again, we don't have time this year, but we'll have to have DK Luce talk a little bit more about the Bills.
Because, I'd love to hear it. Bills Mafia is wild.
Right, but my problem is back to the Browns fans for a long time. I'm not going to say they got what I want to say. You know what? What did you expect? I mean, I lived it with the Bengals. There was every year. Yeah, it just, be mad, but it wouldn't ruin my days anymore. I get to the point where it was going to be the Bengals. You let them do it, because the getting mad didn't matter anymore. And to me, that's kind of where Buffalo's at. Who knows why and what they're doing now? They're just trying to piece and, I haven't followed yet the draft yet. I don't know if they have 1, 2 or 3, how many early picks they even have,
I forget.
The Raiders, we didn't talk about that. They didn't even have to give up a number 1 when they got Brown. So they still have Antonio Brown and 3 first-round picks.
Plenty of draft capital.
Yeah. They still could make a trade for a running back or do something. The problem is, for them now is just cap money. You got to sign somebody. To me, Carlos Hyde would have been a good fit there too. But yeah, I would have. Because he can catch the ball too. He's proven that. So, you know what? That's a big deal. So the quarterbacks, Case Keenum going to Washington. Is he going to be their starter?
I would assume so, because it doesn't seem like Alex Smith is going to be ready to go. Colt McCoy might be ready, but I don't really think.
I'm under the impression that the first one, Alex Smith, he could be still done for ever, let alone.
That's entirely possible, but I think with either way, the Redskins are still tied up money-wise or financially to pay him because of the injury guarantees on his contract. So it wouldn't make much sense for them to try and completely remove him from the roster because they still have to pay him. But the Redskins are one of the dumbest managed or most poorly managed franchises right next to the Giants. Right. So it's entirely possible that they could do it, but it doesn't make any sense for them to do that.
All right. Now, I know you've already done some best ball drafts. Does all this stuff that happened screw up any of your best ball strategies you've been using, or did it help you in a few of them?
Strategies, no. I'm still sticking to my own strategies in terms of trying to fill out the roster and looking at roster construction and all that. Right. But as soon as some of the news dropped, I did see Latavius Murray, Deshaun Jackson after he went back to Philly. Like those players were immediately getting snapped up.
Yeah.
I mean, so the players that have been talked about over the last day or so, you saw them immediately getting snatched up by people that wanted to get in on and draft those players as soon as possible. And so I'm waiting another week at least in order to see how the market stabilizes, and I'll probably write an article for Fantrax about. I'll probably have that next week to talk about, people that are risers, fallers, people that are overvalued after the free agency. Hopefully, when all that stuff's done by next week.
Right, and we still have a couple of days. Things are going to happen still tomorrow. There's still a lot of people got released today again. Still, so there's still a lot that's going to go on. And obviously, we talk about that. There was a lot of big moves on the lines, offensive side, and then obviously most of we don't talk much about defensive players either. There were some of those, and we'll get into that here in the next week or two, just on overall how teams help themselves.
Yep,
so now the countdown is to the draft, right? That's the next big thing.
About a month or so away.
Is it the end of April?
Yeah, end of April, about 5-6 weeks, somewhere in there.
All right. So we're getting close to, like I said, NFL's pretty good at making sure about every 4 or 5 weeks there's something going on,
Oh, yeah.
Because then after the draft, you got roughly 5 or 6 weeks, and you'll have that little mini summer camp that isn't mandatory, but brings news when people don't show up, and that kind of stuff. And it'll be exciting. It'll be an exciting football year. Again,
it always is.
I don't know if it's that I'm paying more attention because we have a show, or what, or did more happen this time than last year. At this time, it just seemed like a lot of big names, and I don't remember the last few years where we had this many big names moving. So
no, I can't. I don't think there's ever been a year like this where, some of the greats of our time, of our generation, because I don't think we'll see another OBJ. AB, he continues on for the next couple of years. I can see him winding up in Canton. I think seeing them both switch teams, and a lot of the team dynamics and now the divisions are completely flipped, because now we're looking at the Browns as being like the lead for the AFC North at this point, right?
And the Steelers could be at the bottom of that.
Right.
They don't have much now.
Yeah, so we are now looking at a completely different NFL, and it's March.
Yeah. See, but that happens in every division, but the Patriots. That one never seems to flip.
No, I think it's changed slightly.
Always at the bottom. The Jets. Yeah. Actually, it's 3 teams on the bottom, and then the Patriots.
Yeah, I think Miami's changing a little bit with their new head coach, considering he's a Belichick disciple.
They thought that was last head coach.
Yeah.
We did think that. No, this is it.
Well, no, I didn't think that with Gase, because I thought Gase was overrated from the jump. I thought he was just riding in off of Peyton's coattails, riding in off of that Super Bowl high, and then that's basically it.
A high's a high. Jesus, get that right.
Well, he had the historic season, Peyton Manning, all this other stuff. So yeah, I kind of get it.
All right,
but I didn't think he was all that great.
All right. Anything else NFL news-wise that we did not discuss that you wanted to make sure we did before we get out of here tonight?
No, I think we've touched on pretty much everything. The impacts and stuff is still yet to be sorted out. Again, it's only the middle of March, so we've got plenty of time to analyze it. But more news is probably going to come.
We got plenty of shows here, Chris, on Lenny Melnick, FantasySports.com, the Legend Sports Network.
Absolutely.
Wednesday nights, 10 o'clock. A Fantasy Fan Sportscast where we talk Wright State Raiders basketball. We gotta do that.
We do everything.
Yeah, we got March Madness starting, and I think we already talked that you get into that a little bit, and the brackets. I've been watching a lot of the things going on. It's a fun time of year. A lot going on. Baseball season starting. The Reds, we just a few weeks away. That'll be happening. So a lot of things going on. I've been watching. I don't know what the tennis. There's whatever tennis is going on right now. It's one of the mid majors or whatever they want to call it. Where it's both men and women, and it's a 2-week long. It's like I think called the PBA or something like that.
Okay.
Unfortunately, yesterday the one Williams sister had to exit with an injury, so she's now. So she's
and
out.
Golf, we got the Players Championship this weekend.
A little golf action. They talked about that in the show, not before ours, one before the one that wasn't before ours. They talked about golf. I catch myself right now because, again, there's nothing major on Sundays. So I have tennis and golf on the, a couple of the smaller TVs, and then whatever I'm watching in the middle, I'll switch back and forth maybe. But
yeah, when does it start? Does that start tomorrow, or is that
today? Yeah, tomorrow morning.
Yeah, it's Thursday. That's right. Mm-hmm.
So we do have golf going off tomorrow. So, all right, Chris, I appreciate you coming. And
Always.
We're going to try to end close to an hour. I got a big draft tomorrow. I got to do a few mock drafts. I'm still working on my player list and arranging a few things, so I'm a little more prepared. So, we could have talked more baseball, but it's us. We can't do too much baseball because one of us is that smart at it. So, I say neither of us. I'm saying I'm not that smart, and you don't know anything. So we have to struggle.
No, not at all.
All right, Chris. Where can people find you?
Find me on Twitter at Chris Allen FFWX. You can see all of my work, at least for the off season as of right now, over on Fantrax.com. And come jump in the best ball lobbies with me. I'm trying to do those a bit more this season over there. So, trying to push the product.
I said, well, never mind. Next week we'll talk about some of that. I appreciate you coming on, Chris. Which I don't have to thank you. You're permanent.
I'll always be here.
But I thank everyone again. Kind of a slow football right now with 2 weeks from baseball. We're not going to have too many people there. Because last year we were doing this show, we obviously had no chat room. We weren't part of the network, so there's not a lot of people going to pop out in this group of people to listen to us talk football. But I had a good time. It was a pretty exciting couple of days, and still a few more things to come. So again, Fantasy Fan Sportscast, Wednesday night at 10 o'clock. Lenny Melnick, fantasysports.com. Tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. Lenny will be back on talking baseball, guys. So come out and do that. JJ Works is back again now on Tuesdays doing his sports show at 2 o'clock. And I'm not very good at the rest of the schedule, but JJ took some time off and he's back on at 2 o'clock. So, and he talks everything. That's what's kind of nice. He did a lot of football stuff today. So thanks again for the few people. I think DK Luce was the last one who typed anything in there, and I think he got pissed at us for not much. We didn't fluff his bills very much. So again, Chris, say goodnight.
Right.
This has been Just a Fantasy Fan podcast. And to keep your fantasies going, follow us at justafantasyfan.com. Say good night. Good night.